Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, wherever you are on the planet, and happy holidays. This is Master B2B Friday 15. I just realized, Mr. Andy Hoare, who is my co-host here, that we should have had some Christmas music at the beginning of this. Darn it, it's Christmas time, it's New Year's time, it's holiday time, everyone. My name is Brian Beck. Welcome to another session of Friday 15, and in fact, the last one of 2025. Andy?
And Brian, equally important, the college football playoff starts tonight.
Oh, it does tonight. Yeah.
Oklahoma versus Alabama. This might be the best game so far. Neither one of our teams are in any of this stuff. So,
dude, we're so far from the playoff. I mean, my goodness, we didn't even get to a bowl game. I think at least Northwestern got to a bowl game.
I don't even know.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they must have. Anyhow, folks, we got an exciting Friday 15 today for you because we're going to recap some of the best things that happened, top stories of 2025. But before we do that, we need some breaking news. Last time I do that this year. It's fun and exciting. Andy, did you see this? Nike eliminates their CTO and CO. So Chief Commercial Officer, Chief Technology Officer. Nike made a bold move, and the implications go far beyond a shuffle at the top. The company cut two cornerstone C-suite roles and installed a new operating model, signaling a deeper strategic reset. No more CCO, no more CTO. What the heck, Andy? What do you think?
Well, the interesting part about this is a B2C story, although Nike does a lot of B2B as well, not to be underestimated, but I think this is perhaps an omen in a way. It's a sign of things to come because Nike basically declared that technology is no longer a separate thing. It's now embedded in lots of different parts of the organization. Now, it's easy to do that when you're not a technology company per se, and that's what they've kind of admitted. They're a consumer packaged goods company that sells clothing and shoes, etc. Right. But a couple of years ago, they were talking about how they were a technology company. This might be a bit of an admission that they use technology, but they aren't a technology company. And this might be interesting for other B2B companies to take a look at, especially in the age of AI. We've often said AI, as with digital, needs to be distributed across the organization. I think Nike actually decided to do that. We'll see if it works for them. There's a whole bunch of stories behind this, but that's what I find fascinating about this story is that they've decided to decentralize the technology function.
Well, the other interesting thing about Nike is they have set the precedent for B2B and really even for B2C. I mean, the amount of sort of direct e-commerce taking control of these channels, really embracing, really leaning on the fact that they make a great product, and as a manufacturer, and understanding they don't, the channel is just a channel to the end customer, and they want to be the best they can be in every channel, including their own direct e-commerce. This is something that a lot of manufacturers in B2B haven't even. We have these conversations. We're issuing some thought leadership on this early in the year. We're talking about direct e-commerce for manufacturers and should they do it or not. And, this is still a debate. Well, Nike sets the precedent. And is this another area where they're setting a precedent? And, we'll find out as we get into the new year.
There is one other side story here, which might be trying to be even more interesting in the end, is that not only did Nike do this, but they got rid of this chief commercial officer. And now the Nike.com, so the digital and the sales team both report to, you ready for this? The CFO. Now, that might have been one of those musical chairs thing, and the last person sitting was the CFO, and this person got that stuff. Right. But it could also point to that now they're applying a higher level of scrutiny on the ROI front to this stuff, especially digital, because I think there's a sense that a lot of companies overspend on digital, which again, what's overspending? But it feels like they brought the CFO in to say, okay, now I want to see a payback.
Interesting. So we're looking into the future, folks. Just watch Nike. I love it. No, it's great. It's really interesting. And I love watching B2C companies, particularly on the manufacturing side and what they're doing. Because again, lots of precedent there for where B2B is going in many ways. So, all right, we got to get to our topic today, which is the biggest stories of 2025. What are they, Andy? Is it all about AI? Well, we'll reveal it in just a moment, everybody. So this is our opinion, of course. We didn't submit this to the greater panel for debate. This is just what Andy and I think. So, but anyway, it's going to be some fun here, some fun topics. So the first question is first topic: tariffs. Tariffs were huge beginning of this year, and they still are. But I mean, remember, Andy, back in the first quarter of the year, towards the end of that first quarter, beginning of second, how much turmoil was created? The world is going to fall apart and implode. The economy will never recover. We're immediately going to go into a recession. Well, what's interesting is this Wall Street Journal article, I think, says it well. You know, did people just get it wrong? Their title was "Why Everyone Got the Tariffs Wrong," and what they said. Some interesting quotes from this article. I'll read them for those of you who are listening. The numbers show that the U.S. economy has held up throughout the year. The odds of a recession in the coming year, meaning 2026, have fallen below 2020 or 25%. By the way, this article was this week, December. Tariffs haven't tanked the economy. In fact, GDP in the second quarter reached its strongest quarterly growth in nearly 2 years, a seasonally and inflation-adjusted annual rate of 3.8%. And the third quarter is tracking closely behind at 3.5. So the economy didn't tank the way everyone thought it would. And there's lots of other statistics in here. Now, but there's also, we know that there's still a lot of uncertainty amongst our community of B2B e-commerce and, manufacturer, distributor executives. Andy, what's your take on this? Did everyone get the tariffs wrong?
I think there's a longer story here. The time horizon is too short. We saw it earlier this year in our roundtables. People were saying things like, 1 week, I'm scared to death. We had to stop everything, shut everything down. We're not selling to certain countries right now. Terribly disruptive. Then 2 weeks later, mostly because the administration changed its mind or lowered the tariffs, or whatever, we'd see different people at a different roundtable, and they'd say, "Oh yeah, we were worried about that 2 weeks ago. We don't care about it now." So I don't know that there was really a definitive policy.
Yeah,
that's one argument. The other argument is that there's a lag time here, and that this is going to have an impact early next year. Now, there's stuff you can do to juice the economy, but it's very clear that people predicted gloom and doom about the tariffs destroying the economy. Whatever you think about whatever, that didn't happen actually. So the economy has continued to grow. It could also be that the economy is just hyper efficient. I mean, it bakes these things in, it knows what to expect.
sure.
Algorithms and AI are constantly adjusting things, moving it around. So it's softening the impact. That's another argument.
Well, it was interesting. I was sitting with one of the members of our community earlier this week, and we were reviewing some of their Amazon performance over the prior year, this 2025. It was fascinating, Andy. We looked at their ordering curves and like when people were, and this is a big company, right? How much, and they do a lot of volume with Amazon. Huge boost in volume in the late quarter one, quarter two, and then Amazon bought all this product from them, and then it stopped, and then they stopped buying for a while. Because Amazon was stocking up. We think they were seeing all this tariff uncertainty. They were just going to buy all this product.
That's exactly what happened.
There's real implications for manufacturers in particular for this kind of thing.
They brought the demand forward. So they pre-bought a bunch of stuff knowing this. And then maybe efficiency took over and they found a way to get rid of it. Or maybe there's inventory that's built up. Who knows? But again, that's what I mean by people are looking for incentives and they do what makes sense to them.
Well, I think so. So the clear thing here, though, is this was and will continue to be one of the top stories of our time. 2025. We'll see if it makes the top stories next year. Next story is all about is all about jobs, Andy. Jobs in B2B. We are in a no hire, no fire scenario here. This is AI layoffs. Wall Street Journal also did an article on this this week, and so we pulled some thoughts from this, but we've seen it throughout the year. Here's some statistics they quoted, Wall Street Journal. Americans with bachelor's degrees or higher put the probability of losing their jobs in the next year at 15%, up from 11% 3 years ago. Workers now think losing a job is more likely with those with less education than those with less education do. That's a striking difference from where we were. So in other words, then we're talking about white collar professional roles here. People are afraid of losing their jobs. They don't want to leave, but then when they do, it's sort of a no hire, no fire. Then you've got this whole college educated workers segment. And they said they have an average 47% of finding a job in the next 3 years, which is down from 60%. So you have the unemployment rate also higher amongst new college graduates. What do you make of all this, Andy?
Well, I'd say there's another piece of information here to watch out for, which is I'm looking at what's happening to recent college graduates. There's
Right.
a bit of noise in this system because I still say a lot of what's driving this are the AI models. And if the AI model knows what you know, then you're a lot less valuable than if it doesn't know what you know. And so people who are in senior level positions, they have a lot of institutional knowledge, they have wisdom that the model is still trying to absorb. So in a way, they're protected for right now. But sadly, younger people, they don't have anything to train the model on. They don't know anything yet. They're going to the job market to learn these things. So the on the job learning part is being disrupted by AI. And there's evidence of this. Historically, the percentage of people who age 22 to 27 who have college degrees who are unemployed, were employed, they have a 5% higher rate of employment if you have a college degree in the age of 20 to 27 versus somebody who only has a high school degree. That
Mm-hmm.
has historically been the case for decades. Well, that number is close to 2%,
Wow.
meaning
Interesting.
that there's a little bit of people with high school degrees, their employment prospects are looking better.
Mm.
And the people with college degrees, their employment prospects are looking worse to close
Wow.
that gap to 2%. We
Wow.
see this. We see this in B2B. They're constantly trying to find electricians and plumbers. They're
Yeah.
looking for people to do this, hence the bump for high school graduates. But the college graduates, again, I think they're getting upended by AI and various other things. And so they can't get a job. And yet the people with high school degrees trying to do more kind of blue collar work, companies can't find those people.
It's amazing. Yeah, the trades. I was talking this week with some colleagues about, actually it was same group I mentioned earlier, about where should our kids, what careers should our kids go into, and there's actually less, apparently less sort of interest and value in a college degree for the reasons you're describing. My 14-year-old, if he wants to be a plumber, that'd be great. Right? Because I mean, those careers, that's not replacing, the risk of that being replaced by AI is lower.
Yeah.
No question. So we're going to keep an eye on this, guys. And I think we've seen this at our executive ranks too, where people are, they're always interested in new opportunities, but there's a real, kind of in the back of my mind, fear of trying to find a new job in this situation, particularly with AI. But anyway, we'll see how it evolves. This is going to be an ongoing story. Our next one is all about search and AI. Check this out, Andy. This emerged rapidly this year in a major really overarching theme for all of our B2B community members here. Traditional search volume, meaning SEO and sort of the traditional way of generating search to websites, could drop by 25% next year as buyers turn to AI powered tools. We talked about this a lot this year, which is search engine optimization, the traditional ranking of your products in a search engine, staying relevant to the customer who's doing a search. That has changed dramatically. Now we have answer engine optimization, which is really all about optimize yourself for LLMs, because what happens in an LLM is that the AI answers the question for you. There's no click. The answer is up front. So this causes confusion. How the heck do I stay relevant? How do I optimize and measure success without clicks? And this new model that is different than what I've done for the last 15 or 20 years to stay relevant, drive traffic, drive awareness. So themes have emerged like semantic relevance, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness, inside of content, focusing on topics, not just keywords, structured content, visibility. So, how do you rank in these LLMs? Well, now you need to be mentioned in the AI outputs, not just appear in the top search results. So this was another top story, Andy. SEO is dead, being replaced by answer engine optimization. What do you think?
Well, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Really good discussion then. I think it has become maybe the biggest issue at the top of the funnel, at the beginning of the customer journey. I did see something interesting this morning, though. It was a LinkedIn post where somebody was talking about ChatGPT is now making it possible for people to buy in the window.
Yeah.
And they actually took a couple of examples, put them into developer tools to kind of trace what was happening. And what they discovered was that ChatGPT was essentially doing a Google search.
Huh.
And then it was coming back and it was essentially going for more credible sites. And I think the example they gave was like buying shoes. It was like it went to Runner's World site and told you, the question was, what are the top 5 shoes for me to buy? And at the end
Right.
of the day, the source is basically Runner's World.
Mm.
And so prioritized third-party sites as
Yeah.
opposed to the vendor sites themselves. But the conclusion was essentially it's doing a Google search. So
Interesting.
it's not really using AI per se. It's just a glorified version of, it's a natural language version,
It's a
essentially.
front end in front of Google. Well,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
here's what's interesting. We talked about this recently. Google making a comeback, right? So OpenAI was, has been taking share in the search market with, just enormous amounts of traffic and usage. And as we heard from Nostradamus himself on our predictions webcast, Justin Rinaldi, he said Google finally has an actual competitor in OpenAI. But look at this statistic we're showing here on the screen for those of you who can see it. Google is taking back share now from OpenAI, right? What's happening, Andy?
Well, we talked about this one too. This is a manifestation of the very issue. People want zero-click search. They want answers. I mean, you and I have joked about this. I don't want to do a Google search anymore and be given a bunch of organic search results to scroll down and click on other screens and never click on the sponsor results. I just want the answer. And so if I just get the answer, then how does Google make money? And that's the big question. Now, Google has the capability. They definitely have the technology now with 3.0, Gemini 3.0. They have it all in front of them. Their question is, the problem for them is, can they make the business model work? Because their entire model is based on sponsored results. So they have to embed it in the results, but then you have zero-click results with embedded sponsors. How does that work exactly?
I don't know. We're going to find, that's going to be our big story next year, is the introduction of paid ads in LLMs and OpenAI. But we're going to continue to hear stories and hear news about this. Andy, this week, just Amazon said, hey, we're thinking about investing $10 billion in OpenAI. Look how Yahoo Finance put it. Amazon set to waste $10 billion on OpenAI. A firm clearly swamped by competition, they say. So, look, I think this kind of points to the uncertainty in all this. And sort of, maybe some sentiment moving to more back towards, kind of Google being a winner. But I think there's still so much uncertainty in all this, right?
Well, and I think Amazon actually is trying to bet on every horse in the race now, because they also have an $8 billion investment in Perplexity, which is a direct competitor to OpenAI and ChatGPT. That's Claude, right? So Amazon's thinking, well, if we bet on everybody, we're going to win.
Yes.
So that's, I think, where they're going. But it is sort of, I think the subtext here is, it is a statement that perhaps OpenAI and ChatGPT has lost some altitude here, and that Amazon doesn't want to bet everything on them now, but wants to hedge their bets. That's a story. That part of it's a big story.
Yeah, Stephen Javor, thanks for your comment. He said Google and Meta have a business revenue model to evolve from, but not so sure about OpenAI. And Stephen's at Schneider Electric, by the way, folks. Great member of our community. He also said this: we're finding that over 80% of our citations are coming from sources outside of our domain. So they're getting a lot of traffic, outside of their own domain, obviously coming in. So this is really important to these companies that are contending with this change in how people are searching. And so there's a real kind of not confusion, but just sort of an apprehension. And where do you put your efforts and resources as you get into this? So,
well, and the story, as we always joke, is not over. It's just begun. This is like the first or second inning of the game.
Exactly. This is, and we got a comment here from Ricky Alderson, by the way, on our earlier point. Thank you, Ricky, for this. She says, fear the unknown, tariffs changing from morning to noon, and it will impact longitudinally. I can't even say that word. But, these stories are just so, they resonate across. And we picked 3 here because we think these are some of the 3 most important. But there's so much more that happened this year. And, we encourage you guys to take a look back at our podcast throughout the year here. And check it out. But we've got to wrap up our last podcast of the year for time's sake here, Andy. Just a couple quick announcements. I want to remind everyone about our Master B2B Nexus program, which is an on-demand advisory service. It reduces your risk. It helps you, identify and connect with the right people to answer. We have a whole cadre of really super experts on different aspects of different things that we can bring to the table for you, whether that's, reducing risk on making a platform decision, or deciding how to deal with AEO and the changing nature of search. We also have our summit coming up on March 10th and 11th. We're getting towards full on this, Andy. So we encourage you, if you're a practitioner, to go to our website and apply to join us. The application process is not onerous, guys. It's pretty straightforward and easy, but we really just want to make sure we have the right folks in the room with you. It's going to be at the University of Chicago. Again, March. Go to our website to find out more. And finally, our podcast, this session is available as a podcast in your favorite service, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and encourage you to take a look, and also at our website where we keep these. And please give us a review should you feel so inclined. We would be very grateful. Andy, any final words before we wrap up our last Friday 15 of 2025?
No, I can't wait for 2026. 2025 was an interesting year. There's no reason to believe 2026 won't be just as interesting or more interesting. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. We'll see you all in January. Happy holidays. Just imagine this is Christmas music or holiday music, guys. Enjoy your year. Happy New Year.